What were your first thoughts when you met your current/previous so? Or what kind of feeling/intuition did you have about that person when you first spoke to them? I found him so handsome, my heart was aching if I looked at him. Also, couldn't focus at all on the conversation if I was looking at his face while talking. After 3 years, it's gotten better, but I still think he's absolutely gorgeous. Oh my god. What a nerd. He came into class with his hair, which was down to his shoulders, all blown around like crazy from driving in his convertible with the top down. He had these ugly glasses with crazy thick lenses, because he was damn near functionally blind without them. He had on a gimme t-shirt with the name of some internet company with the phone number 1-800-BA geek on it, and it looked like he'd slept in it. The kicker? He was carrying a fucking briefcase, which I had never seen anyone under the age of like 40 or outside of a TV show do before. He was 21 at the time. He sat down and pulled out a laptop. This was in 1996, so the thing was a giant-ass gray brick. On top of that, he was so skinny, it was ridiculous. I'd never seen a guy so skinny. He looked almost like he was starving, even though he still lived at home with his upper middle class parents and younger sister. It was just so bizarre to me. Eventually, we got to know each other, seeing as we were in the same class, tech theater, and had to work together. We were doing Little Shop of Horrors for the first fall production that year, and I sort of started to like him. I was actually sorta dating another guy at the time, but the guy I was dating was kind of a flake. Hubs and Al started spending more and more time together, and I realized I really liked him. He took me to see That Thing You Do on our first date, and we've been together ever since, which I just realized has been 25 years. I think he is lost. 5 minutes later, passing me for the 6th time, he is totally lost. Oh, he has tattoos and likes heavy metal. He's a keeper. 17 years later, I kept him. He seems so deeply sad. He was deeply sad. Now, not so much, since he has been actively in therapy for 6 years. Am I the only one that doesn't remember what I thought of so the first time I saw him? I wasn't looking for anything and was out just drinking and dancing, but I do remember that I made the first move. I was automatically super comfortable around him. Felt like an old friend I hadn't seen in a while. He was soaking wet cause it was pouring rain, but I gave him a hug anyways. I just felt like this was going to be a good thing. This is a good person. What a great, bright personality. I want to be around this person more. Why in the world is this guy trying to shoot me? It was a blind date, and we were doubling with my roommate and her boyfriend. Little did I know, my date was currently in a huge Nerf war with 50+ people, and the only off-limits places to kill were in your bedroom and at church. So it's not surprised that he thought a blind date was a ruse to get him eliminated. But I got in the car and looked over at him as he is pressed himself as far away as possible, watching my every move, while holding a Nerf gun next to his face with both hands ready to shoot me. ETA, no, he didn't actually end up smashing his head through the window. LMAO, he said. I want to smash my head through that window, I said. Do it. We were both 13 and emotionally reckless, confused school kids. What do ya expect? I didn't tell him to do it because I hated him. I'm just terrible at social interaction and impulsively encourage people when they say stupid stuff. LOL. I still don't remember why he wanted to smash his head through the window though. That was a bit weird. My first thoughts weren't, oh, he's so sexy and fine and handsome. But I will admit, I did think he was pretty cute even before actually getting to know him, even if he was a little shit. Haha. Washi sucks. Please share more of your story. LOL. Sure. I met my current wife when she was a friend of my older sister. So we meet for the first time at a party. I'm pretty shy, and very reserved. She was super over the top, was loud, and loved being the center of attention. So it was a personality conflict at first. I thought she was obnoxious, and she thought I was stuck up. Hot damn. Hot damn. I knew he was a special guy when we were chatting, so set up a date as soon as possible. He's photogenic, but he was even better in action. We've been together 2 years now. I thought he was a bit of it, sir, to be perfectly honest with you. We were 17 and he was dead mouthy and bullshit, not very appealing at all. As we worked together more and got to know each other more, I realized it was just an act and that he's actually really sweet, kind, and thoughtful. We lost contact after a year of dating, and then, 21 years later, he finally joined Facebook, looked for me and sent me a DM. I was expecting him to have changed a lot, but he hasn't. He's still just as amazing now. I was 7 when we first met. He threw a ball near me. I picked it up and we started playing. I thought he seemed nice, and I was hoping LD made a friend. He had these big noticeable brown eyes that I was fascinated by. I did make a friend that day, and more than 10 years later he became more than a friend. And now we're engaged. I started a new job where the previous managing director had left the week before. T knew that the guy who left was the same age as me, 24 at the time, and my mind was a little bit blown that someone could be in charge of an entire company at my age. Figured he must be an absolute genius and was generally quite impressed. All the staff kept telling me stories about him and I learned that as well. As being young and a genius, he was very well liked. A couple months after I started, a few staff members were going on a little day trip and invited the old MD along. He picked us up from the office and we just jumped straight in the car. So I'm looking at the back of this guy's head and thinking, oh man, I'm finally meeting this genius, fully expecting some serious business type dude. Then he starts the car and 21 Pilots starts playing and I'm thinking, okay, not what I expected. That's cool. And then we got on the motorway and he got confused about north and south and I thought, oh fuck, this dude is exactly my combination of genius and dumb. We've now been together 5 years and I enjoy the moments where other people obviously have the first impression of him as a serious business type person and then he introduces me as his girlfriend and at any given moment I either look like a total hippie or an extra in an Avril Lavigne video and you see them have that okay, not what I expected moment. I thought he was incredibly sexy straight away. He met me at the door for our first date and I grabbed him and made out with him. OSID never done that before but he is hot as hell and that was a great makeout session. We met at a wedding. I remember first seeing her and thinking that her eyes were beautiful and she had this really great sense of humor, but he also had this air about her that was really thoughtful. We spent the entire night at the after party together. He seemed really quiet and to be honest, a bit boring and awkward. He was also really tall and really skinny, which is not my usual type. I couldn't understand why I was so attracted to him. I was totally wrong. Looking back, I know now that LD mistaken his quietness for awkwardness and lack of confidence, probably projecting a bit, when in reality he's just super calm and comfortable, like all the time. He's not boring at all. He has some really interesting hobbies but he just doesn't bring them up with new people because he can talk for hours about them when he's on a roll, which could be considered rude. He's exciting and comfortable at the same time, and we never run out of things to talk about. He seemed really boring. Boring job, financial stuff, and boring hobby and I totally wasn't interested. Got to know him better. Still not interested in his job, but his hobby was a lot more interesting than I thought once I found out more about it. One of the reasons we got together was because he designs stuff for his hobby. I was actually willing to tell him this works and this doesn't. Apparently most people would just say yeah it's fine, which wasn't actually useful feedback if he was trying to improve something. How much does he look like my brother, and how much does that bother me? We met online and when I showed his picture to a couple of friends, they all said he looked like my brother. There are some similarities but once I got to know him, I don't think he looks like my brother at all. We're getting married tomorrow. Oh cute. If he wants to kiss me, I'll definitely let him. Then I got more and more drunk and he eventually put on a beanie. It was cold and we were about to go outside, so I started to get paranoid that he might be underage. He was 33. When I met my husband, I said, I'ma marry this one. Still together 26 years later. His hair looks like a halo. He has very curly hair and when I first saw him he was sitting right in a ray of light. I had a feeling he will be important to me, back then. We've been together for 9 years now. I've never told him this because it sounds absolutely egotistical, but moments after we were introduced I looked at him and thought to myself, rather oddly, he loves me. On my first birthday celebrating with him, he wrote me a card and quoted Shakespeare, when I saw you I fell in love and you smiled because you knew. Oh hell, this man is gorgeous, how am I going to work for him for the next 6 months and function? I had all the feels with him, it was instant attraction and chemistry. He made me sweat. He was the biggest distraction I had ever felt with any man. For a week I held it together and was sure my feelings were one-sided, because he was so cool and professional, whereas I had to concentrate not to get flustered every time I talked to him. One evening after work he asked me to join him for a drink. He confessed he felt the same way about me and was totally clueless and surprised to find out how I felt. He believed his feelings to be one-sided. We've been together for 2 years and are getting married next year. He's so beautiful. I tried to initiate the conversation. It was awkward. He barely answered, so I asked him if he wanted to sleep at my place right away and he said yes. The conversation was easier after sex. More than a year after we moved in together, and I appreciate everything about him. He's the nicest person I've ever met. He even sings little songs to my dog. He had this really stupid smile on his face and was barely paying any attention to what his buddy was talking about. I just thought he was so attractive and easygoing. He did not look like he was older than me. LD have guessed he was younger than I am. Very tall and skinny. I also remember thinking he had a really cute accent. We're no longer together, but I still hold him dearly.